All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Friday Night Live. We are sponsored by Craig Bell, the owner of Blackbridge Financial in the Palisades. Blackbridge Financial specializes in wealth management services, so if you need help managing your wealth and your money, reach out to Craig and he'll do a good job for you. We've got a little bit of fun on the screen tonight because it is, well, I guess it was Halloween. Officially, it is now November 1st, but as the stream goes out there and people start seeing it, because I didn't get a chance to promote it, I was too busy trying to get all this stuff out. But if you never watched Friday Night Live before, Friday Night Live is your show. It is a show where the comments drive it. If you post it, we will talk about it. That's the way Friday Night Live works. Um, as the stream gets out there, we obviously had a very busy week here at CFI. We started with our show Wednesday night, and then Thursday night we covered a game, West Meck at Garinger, and then tonight we were at J.M. Robinson as they hosted Northwest Cabarrus, which was basically for a conference championship and a de facto Cabarrus County championship. So there's a lot to cover over the last couple of days. Um, I'll start with Thursday night. Being out at Garinger, is always kind of cool because I tell people this all the time. I remember when Garinger was really good. And I mean, they were a 7-8 win team and hosted a playoff game, and they were tough. And every time I come back over there, I'm reminded of when we struggled with them. And I can tell you that Coach Jupiter Wilson has that program going in the right direction. The biggest thing that I really liked about them is defensively, they're a lot better. You remember throughout the years where Garinger would just get, absolutely blown out by 50, 60, points, week in and week out. That's not the case anymore. This was a scoreless game after the first quarter. I mean, it took West Meck a little while, to get going. And in their regard, they're a young team. They've got a lot of young talent. I believe Coach Waddell told me they had 6 seniors. And of those 6 seniors, there's only a couple of them that, really play a lot. So they're going to have a lot of returning people. Their quarterback, Drake Kleinberger, threw 3 touchdown passes, a freshman, really good player who's, going to continue to grow and get better. Um, Two of those were caught by number 11, Amari Jones, the real electric kid, really good speed and run some good routes. And then defensively, Antonio Flowers, the big D lineman, really stood out. Incredible burst off the ball, man. Just impressive stuff. Um, and then Tyson Stansel was, a really steady presence at the linebacker spot. So um, all those guys, I thought did a really, really good job um, overall in that game for West Meck. Geringer's one score came off a pick six. Young man made a nice play on the ball, was able to run it back for about 40 yards for a touchdown. And that made that final margin 24-7. So that's where we were Thursday night. All of our stuff is out there from that game. Interviews we did after the game, pictures, and then some highlights are on Instagram. Tonight, as I said, we went to J.M. Robinson. They hosted Northwest Cabarrus in a big, big game. These two are rivals, and we were made very clear in our post game interviews that they J.M. Robinson really, really wanted to get this win, and they've kind of owned the series between Northwest Cabarrus in recent years. But they've been close games. They but they just dominated from the start in this one. That's the best way I can put it. I mean, their first drive, they went down and got points, got a touchdown. And then I believe the second drive, they got another touchdown. Northwest Bears did answer back with a 70-yard touchdown run, but that was the only answer they had all night. J.M. Robinson pounded the rock. I mean, they ran that ball so many times and they kept getting chunks of yardage. It was really impressive. I mean, between Ari Greenfield, a quarterback, Ennis Styles, and L.J. Smooth Watson at the running back spot, Coach Seidel believes they were over 300. I definitely agree with that because it seemed like every time they got a carry, it was the first down or close to a first down. They had to average like 9 yards a carry. And we were really shocked because coming into the game, we felt like Northwest Bears was a really good test. I felt like these teams were going to test each other, but it's a testament to what that J.M. Robinson staff is doing with a younger group. You have to remember they lost a ton of seniors last year, and they've just developed all season long, and now they're in a spot to be a legitimate state title contender in a very loaded 5A class. So all the interviews from that game tonight are up and out on social media. Make sure you check those out. We interviewed Coach Seidel, L.J. Smooth Watson, the running back, Ari Greenfield, a quarterback, Elijah Shue at the offensive line, and athlete in his style. So make sure you check that out. The pictures are done up on our Smug Mug account. If you follow us and follow our pictures, you can go to that website and check those out. They'll be out on social media tomorrow, along with a highlight video, which will be out tomorrow. So it should have them out by tomorrow morning, late morning. So make sure you check that out. But thank you to Garinger and J.M. Robinson for being such hospitable guests and allowing us to come and cover your games. We hope you appreciate the coverage. And, especially thank you to all the great people at J.M. Robinson I met tonight and said some nice things about CFI and watching the show and all that stuff. That really means a lot. I don't know if I say that enough, but when you guys, give us that feedback, that means a lot to me, to the producer, and all the other guys that work hard and do the show. I was telling someone else about all the work that goes in to doing the show, and there's a lot of stuff we don't talk about that we really sit down and kind of plan out and discuss, and that stuff happens even on Friday nights. We make fun of Coach Billups from time to time, but he really does his homework. Friday nights he will sit and watch multiple streams, and he'll text me notes, or he'll call me with observations from games that he's watching. We take all that stuff and we develop a show plan, and then we kind of go down and figure out the games we're going to spend more time on versus others, and things like that. Anyway, there's a lot that goes into this stuff, so hearing those words is really cool. All right, so we got some comments now after my long diatribe there, so I appreciate you guys being with me there. So first of all, Trayvon Gaither says, I was surprised with that Crest and Kings Mountain score. Yeah. We had I think Trey Albright was tagging me in score updates on Twitter like he usually does when they play. And, every time a score comes in, I'll tell producer on the sideline, and we have kind of like a little mini breakdown. And we were getting the Crest Kings Mountain updates. We were just like, wow, I think Crest is really upset what happened last week, because my goodness. Let me look up and see what the final score was. I know it was 28-0 before the end of the first quarter. And that was just amazing. Oh boy. So the final score was Crest 70, Kings Mountain. Yeah, thank you, Trayvon. Yeah, thank you. Boy, a certain Facebook page will be on fire. You guys know, if you watch this show, you probably know what Facebook page I'm talking about. My goodness, wow. I don't usually go on there because I don't usually have time, but I might have to go on there and just read and chuckle a little bit because my goodness. All right. John says the running back on Myers Park is legit. South Neck is a good team. Myers Park just looked a tier above them on Thursday. Yeah, I appreciate that. I said on the show that we talk about both Thursday and Friday games here on Friday Night Live tonight. So Myers Park defeated South Neck 40-14. This is a Thursday night game played at Waddell. Well, I was about to say Waddell High School, but it's not. It's not Waddell Stadium. Let me put it that way. That's a whole nother story we'll get into another time. Yeah, Josh Falzerano is his name. He's a really, really good player. And when you first look at him, you think he's maybe just a fast guy, but no, he is really strong. He is really strong. And he anchors that Myers Park offense. And everything kind of builds off of what he can do in the running game, along with his offensive line. I've said multiple times this year, I think Myers Park's offensive line is one of the best in the area. That's a real legitimate rivalry. I mean, that is an intense rivalry, old school Charlotte rivalry. And, that game has, been really close over the past few years. And Myers Park jumped up 26-0 at halftime. And it was, they played them even in the second half, obviously 14-14, but that buffer was too much for South Neck to overcome. So I mean, your assessment I think is right on there. That kind of matches what we have in our rankings. But the good thing is both of these teams are going to be in the playoffs that get announced on Sunday. Ronnie Burr, he's not first tonight. Now see why he's frustrated. Clover lost to Catawba Ridge 22-21 in overtime. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think South Carolina's changed their structure. In North Carolina, some teams are getting buys. But you gotta be ready to go next week, man. It's gotta bounce back, and like you said, hopefully you get some of those guys back and get ready to go because now it's one and done if you don't get it done, man. But at least you're gonna be there. Some teams would love to be there and they're not there. So there you go. Good to see you, Laramie, as always. Luke, it was a pleasure to meet you tonight. Let's see here. Kendall Rudolph says, does West Met get in with that win? Well, I took a look, and I know high school OT is working on it now, so I'm sure they'll have a projection out late tonight, if not early tomorrow morning. But the last projection that they ran after last night, West Met was the 24th seed in the West, so they were in based on what happened last night. Now they got to take into account what happens tonight. And once again, I have to stress, I know we've been using them the past couple of weeks, but these are projections. The state can go in and look at it differently. You guys know from, statistics and, college data classes and all that, stats can be interpreted. They can be interpreted different ways. Latitude, longitude used to set east and west can be, looked at different ways. I will just say this: do not put anything past the NCHSAA. that is one thing I would love to stress with you tonight. Do not put anything past them. We've seen it all, and we'll continue to see things that we never thought we'd see. So nothing is guaranteed until Sunday when they lock the brackets after that dispute period. So now that being said, I will say I will probably do a playoff show on Sunday at some point. I don't know exactly what time because we don't know what time the brackets are going to be out and finalized. So that kind of throws things into a bit of a situation there. But I will most likely do a playoff show. If not Sunday, it'll be on Monday. It'll be a special playoff only show where I'll come on and we'll go through the brackets and try to kind of talk through some previews. And this is only in the West. We don't have time to do East. But we'll do that either on Sunday or Monday. Once we figure out, when the brackets are getting finalized and locked, then we can kind of put an announcement out there. But we'll take a look at that in depth, like we always do. He'll be excited to hear that. He'll definitely be excited, man. Good gracious. It's good stuff, Joe. Let's see. Trayvon Gaither's got Statesville 43-6 over North Iredell. Yeah, Dakota Harrington, 8 and 9, 202 yards and 4 touchdowns. What a player. Yeah. Hey, I swear, I appreciate you shouting them out, man. Pep Man players, you guys are doing a really good job of shouting these guys out. Big Tony, I see what you said there about Falzerano. He tagged me in his highlights. So, yeah, I appreciate that. He's a really good player, man. He's a good player. I'm going to try to shout him out on Pep Man's players for sure, man. But that's a good win for Statesville to kind of get back on the horse. They kind of, been up and down the past couple of weeks. And it's always good to go into the playoffs with a win. That being said, we have got to talk about Mooresville and Lake Norman, because what a game. I would have loved to have been there. I chose wrong from a competitive standpoint. I chose wrong. But Mooresville winning over Lake Norman 23-21. As chat administrator says right there, they were down 21-17 with a minute 40 to go, and they drove 75 yards with no timeouts to win the game. The only thing I've seen from this was the final play. When I say final, but the game-winning touchdown. I think J-Man tagged me in it on Twitter. It was a nice pass from Brody Norman to Dominic Morin in the corner of the end zone. Kind of a fade route against single coverage, and Morin went up and got it and made the play. So that's real good stuff right there, man. I mean, it don't get no better. It don't get no better beating your rival on Halloween night. I will tell you, man, back in 1997, it shows you how old I am. We beat, we I guess you could say they were all rival. We were fighting for the bottom of the conference, but we beat Piedmont High School. What was that score? I think 20-14 in overtime. And we were on Football Friday night for whatever reason. But that memory will last with me for the rest of my life, man, because we dog piled on each other. We caught a touchdown pass in the corner end zone to win it. We jumped on each other, celebrated. We celebrated with our head coach and got on camera and was talking crazy. But these are the memories, man. This is what makes high school football great. It's these kind of plays, these kind of memories, these kind of moments that you'll never, ever forget for the rest of your life. And that's something that no matter what happens in life, these guys are going to be bonded by that moment, by coming together, making that drive against their rival on a Halloween night in front of probably 5,000 people there. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. That's great. That's great stuff, man. And I'm sure we'll have, much more from that game as, the details come out. Dudley Guy, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, he had to be poised on that drive. I can't wait to go back and take a look at it. For sure. Kendall Rudolph, this is a good call right here. Jamil Watson, back-to-back 3 touchdown games. He's a heck of an athlete. If you don't know who I'm talking, he plays for West Charlotte. He's a young sophomore, wears number 11. Very talented young man. I believe one of their running backs got hurt, so he stepped up and kind of filled the void a little bit. And he looks good. He looks real good running the football, man. I mean, his future might be as a running back. He's that talented. But I'm going to try to make sure he's on Pep Man's players. And I like talking to that young man. I interviewed him over the summer. Very confident. He's a future leader, if not already, as a sophomore. He is a real talented guy with high-level intangibles, and I see why he's getting D1 offers already, for sure. All right, Joe checking in. We got Landformer 5 touchdowns and Shelby's 36. Is that 36-35? Is that the score there? I've had to take down Max Prep because it was being funny again. But either way, Shelby won the game. And Burns, Romello, Wells had 3 rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, that's good stuff. I guess that means Max Davis wasn't 100%. I know he was kind of banged up. So hopefully he's good. Burns going into the playoffs because he can obviously mean a lot for those guys. But Landformer's a special player. I think he's the all-time leader in passing for Shelby now. I know he's the all-time touchdowns leader because I remember getting tagged in that post. But he's special, man. He's got selected for the Queen City Senior Bowl, and you know he'll be one for the ages down there in Cleveland County. Let's see here. Chat administrator says Hickory beat Bandies in OT 47-45. Good gracious! Wow, what a game! Now I see why I saw Coach Glass, Hickory head coach, make a post that. You know, they won their 3rd consecutive conference championship, but it wasn't pretty. So now I see why he said that. I wasn't aware of that score right there. But man, they are becoming a standard up in Hickory, and you know, a lot of people don't know the secret sauce behind them. But Coach Natoli, Coach Mike Natoli, formerly coached at a couple places. Most recently at Independence as a head coach before DJ McFadden got that job. He is a really, really, really smart offensive guy, and he runs Hickory's offense, and it is some really good stuff. And I don't know if you guys are football, you know, nerds or former coaches like me and Billups and stuff, but when you start looking at that stuff and breaking it down, I told them, you know, there are coaches that put stuff together and try to sell it and teach people their systems and stuff. And I said, hey, man, you got to do something with this system because it's really good stuff. I mean, it's rhythm based passing and, you know, the drops mirror the route combination. Anyway, I won't get too in the weeds about it, but it's really good stuff. Put it that way. And you know, ever since he's been there with Coach Glass, they have, you know, had this high level of success, and I think it's going to continue as long as those two stay together. Coach Natoli ever desires to be a head coach again, you know, he'll bring that really, really special offensive system with him. So, yeah, that's good stuff right there. Let's see here. We need to put that up there, Kendall. Said Fred T. Ford winning over North Lincoln. That might get them into the playoffs. Well, that'd be great. That'd be great. You know, I love seeing schools that don't have a ton of success get that experience and chance to get into the state playoffs. And you know, they've had a better season up there. Newton Conover beating Maiden to go to 8-2. Yeah, I mean that's coaching. That's coaching, man. They got a really good coach up there, and you know, I would not have picked them to beat Maiden. I thought Maiden was the favorite going into that game, but you got to shout out Newton Conover coaching staff. You know, that's a really good win right there. That's a really good win. All right, tell us about it. You know, I wish I could, you know, get into it. I mean, he's talking about Hickory's offense, but I don't have enough time, and I would really need kind of some diagrams. If you guys have watched us for a while, we used to do a segment. What do we call it? Oh man, the chalkboard or something like that. And we would have coaches come on and put, you know, some of their base plays up and kind of talk about it. We had to stop doing it because we got too in depth and it was just taking up too much time on the show. Like we didn't know how to break it down in a brief manner without going into all the minute details that coaches do. So it might be something we look at doing in the off season, but on a regular show, we don't have enough time. We just talk too much, and then we start challenging each other because that's what coaches do. So it's not something we can do on a regular show efficiently anyway. I'm gonna try to get the scores back up here. So Thursday night we'll run through those first. I'll get them up on the screen, and then we'll go into what we saw earlier this evening. All right, so Thursday night. Oh, it's usually bigger than that. Let me see. It says I got it anyway. Oh, well, we'll just go through them. All right, Myers Park beat South Neck 40-14. We mentioned earlier. Providence won a conference championship. Congrats to the Panthers. They beat RVKL 28-14. They win that conference outright, and they should have a home playoff game in the first round because of the success they've had this year, which is awesome. West Charlotte defeated North Meck 43-0. Northland beat our friend Coach Dub up at Mountain Island 30-21. Central Cabarrus is all over Harding 51-8. Monroe winning a conference championship, defeating Forest Hills 21-0. Valentine Ridge, second school win in history. They beat our friend, the Engine, Coach Clamrock, 20-13. Statesville, we mentioned that over North Iredell, 43-6. Of course, we talked about West Meck Garinger leading the show. That's where we were on Thursday. Palisades over East Meck, 42-6. Mallet Creek over Chambers, 31-0. Huff big over Hopewell, 56-0. Olympic winning their conference championship. They won that outright. 16-13 over Hickory Ridge. Cox Mill over Berry, 28-0. Independence winning the Battle of Mint Hill, big, 41-7 over Butler. A.L. Brown over West Cabarrus, 20-10. Community School Davidson all over Pine Lake, 42-0. Providence Day all over Country Day, 49-0. I got some stats from Coach Greer on that one, and we'll make sure we highlight a couple of players out of that game. And then South Point and Rock Hill all over Richland Northeast, 70-0. All right. Tonight's scores. We got Charlotte Christian over Charlotte Latin in a Big Four game in Charlotte, private schools, 38-24. South Lake over Southwake, 41-6. Cameron Gandy, quarterback, had a big game in that one for South Lake. High Point Christian all over Covenant Day, 65-0. Thomas Jefferson over Bonnie Cone, 48-12. Anson over Parkwood, 22-20. North Stanley, big over Union Academy. We got South Point over Ambassador Christian, 48-18. West Rowan over Salisbury, 49-7. Charlotte Catholic over Piedmont, 49-0. Concord over East Rand, 28-13. Marvin Ridge over Cumberson in a great game, 31-28. I was told Mason Iovino had over 300 rushing yards from Cumberson in that. My goodness, what a player. South Stanley all over Albemarle. Metrolina Christian over Hickory Grove, 27-7. West Iredell, this one, man, 70-24 over Bunker Hill. In that game, Coach Fitzgerald from West Iredell said that they had 6 defensive touchdowns in the first half. Never in my life heard anything like that. My goodness. Wow. I'm going to get some more details on that one. Sun Valley over Porter Ridge in a rival game in Union County, 11-7. It's not a score you see a lot. Carson over South Carolina. Of course, from J.M. Robinson over Northwest Cabarrus. We talked about that. Ashbrook won the Battle of the Bell in Gaston County over Hunter Huss, 16-0. Davie County over South Iredell. Now, Pleasant bounced back with a win over West Stanley. Lincolnton all over West Lincoln. Newton County over Maiden. Fort Mill getting a win over Nation Ford. Richmond Senior all over Pinecrest, 58-27. Forestville over North Gaston. Stuart Kramer, 30-7 over East Gaston. Let's see here. Freedom wins. Chase wins. There's the Crest game we talked about earlier. Cherryville over Bessemer City, 50-33. There's Shirley over Burns, we mentioned earlier. And then the rest of the games, trying to see what else. Area Lake Norman Charter, nice win over Lincoln Charter, 35-7. Otago over St. Stephen's, relatively close, 28-18. Good game right there. Indian Land takes their first loss to Northwestern, 51-13. And I believe that's it for the area. So those are the scores that we've got. Few more comments. J-Man chiming in. Let us know your stats, J-Man. Congratulations on the win, man. Go celebrate. Don't do nothing too crazy. And Ken Rudolph's happy for Richmond County. I'm sure that's playoff related. So if you missed it earlier, I mentioned that we will do a playoff show either Sunday or Monday, and we'll go through those scores. We don't have as many people on tonight. Obviously, a lot of Charlotte schools play Thursday night, so they're out celebrating Halloween in a safe manner. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Halloween night. And, welcome to November. And everybody have a great weekend. We'll see what happens on Sunday with the playoffs, and stay tuned for an update on when we'll do the playoff show either Sunday night or Monday night. Thanks, everyone, for being here and watching Friday Night Live, sponsored by Craig Fail, the owner of Black Ridge Financial in Palisades. Have a good weekend, everyone.